I was appointed as Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women 6 months ago. And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating. My recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one?
You know what, feminists? I feel inclined to help you. I want you to understand just why people hate feminism and feminists. You have to understand that this is a big topic. There are so many things that feminists do that are, I don't know how you describe it, almost anti-egalitarian, kind of supremacist, if you will, that I think this is probably going to turn into a series of videos. Let's start with the brazen and very open man-hatred that you have addressed yourself, Emma. Now, I'm going to start with an advert from Pantene, where they're pandering to women.
Sorry, can I ask a stupid question?
Sorry, do you have a minute?
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, hey, there he is.
Mind if I squeeze in here?
Sorry. Sorry. Sorry, you go first.
No, it's just, I was gonna say.
Yes, this is the epitome of first world problems, but let's recap what's going on in each scenario. Woman interrupts man talking. Absolutely every reason to apologise. A man would apologise to a man for interrupting his speech to ask a question. Woman interrupting someone unseen in their office. Again, every reason for this person to apologise for interrupting. Woman's elbow resting on the arm of the next chair, so when the guy sits down, he is touching her and she apologises for it. Completely normal. Again, not a gender-based thing at all. Anyone should apologise for having done this. Mother apologises to father for interrupting him by forcing him to take their child so she can do something else. It's a completely normal interaction. And she's just being polite. There's nothing wrong with this at all. And women in a boardroom who are not giving the person trying to sit down enough space, so they apologise. Sorry, I wasn't letting you sit down because I was taking up too much room. Woman apologising to boyfriend because he has too much of the covers and she's waking him up when she's trying to take some. Possibly the only thing in these examples she shouldn't actually apologise for out of politeness. Two people start talking at the same time and the woman apologises for talking at the same time as the man. Again, there's no reason that you wouldn't do that. He is in fact being impolite for not apologising as well. So what's Pantene's suggestion?
I have a question. Why don't we go back to the original thing that we did?
Morning. You got a minute?
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Pantene's suggestion is for women to be passive-aggressive bitches. I wouldn't accept that kind of behaviour from a man, so why the hell would I accept it from a woman? And you'll notice in these clips women are exclusively doing this to men. But you might be thinking, well, this is just inconsiderate. What is the problem? It's really not that bad. And it's not. These examples are not that bad. But let's have a look at Sarah Silverman's advert from the 2015 Super Bowl.
Sarah, this Wi-Fi calling from T-Mobile is the best.
Yeah?
I can talk from anywhere in my mansion.
I already have it. You sound great in my hydroponic kale garden.
Reception's great in my subterranean petting zoo.
Crystal clear from my trophy room.
All clear in my figure skating basement.
Sounds great from my underground delivery room. Sorry, it's a boy.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, sums up modern feminism. Sorry, it's a boy. 100 years ago, this advert would have been, sorry, it's a nigger. Now, everyone who isn't a feminist is probably thinking, wow, I can understand why so many people were pissed off with this advert. But feminists not only wouldn't hear of it, they would go as far as to defend this advert. Sorry dude bros, Silver Sirman's Sorry It's a Boy Super Bowl ad isn't sexist. Males, quote unquote, are happy to call misandry while totally overlooking what #everyday sexism really looks like. It's this kind of absolute contempt for men is the reason why people think that feminists hate men. This is the sort of contempt you would expect white nationalists to have for black people. This complete disregard of a legitimate criticism, which the writer handles in the stupidest way possible. They claim that this isn't everyday sexism, because the actual reality of everyday sexism, from treating threats to release women's private information as a hoax, to actually releasing women's private photos, to telling women to smile on the street but never calling it harassment, to banning women's bodies on social media, all the way to paying them less for the same work. These are ridiculous justifications for this kind of prejudice being so blithely thrown around. They compare this to what they claim is institutionalized oppression and misogyny. So if we're going to examine this, the quickest one to pick apart is paying them less for the same work.
Sarah, this Wi-Fi calling from T-Mobile is the best.
Yeah?
I can talk from anywhere in my mansion.
You don't see the irony of this, Salon, at all, do you? Okay, what else? Banning women's bodies on social media. Because Instagram banned pubic hairs, but then retracted their position. This is justification for prejudice against men by a woman who lives in a mansion, is it? Okay, well how about telling women to smile on the street? This is just a link to Salon's tag of street harassment. The first story taking place in Afghanistan of all places, the second story being of a man who got stabbed, and the third one is a woman apologising for lying to people. Needless to say, none of this is justification for prejudice against men. And lastly, apparently threatening to release women's private information to actually releasing the information. As awful as it is when a woman's ex-boyfriends or random strangers on the internet threaten to leak nude pictures of those women, it simply does not equate to institutionalized oppression. So not only will feminists defend man-hatred when they see it, but vast amounts of feminist art and literature seem to revolve exclusively around the concept of man-hatred. Take, for example, the Scum Manifesto, which is a radical feminist manifesto by Valerie Solanas that argues that men have ruined the world and it's up to women to fix it. And to achieve this goal, it suggests the formation of Scum, an organisation dedicated to overthrow society and eliminating the male sex. It's widely believed that SCUM is an acronym that stands for the Society for Cutting Up Men. And she had held a series of recruitment meetings that she then later denied. Possibly when this came out and everyone was like, are you fucking kidding me? The Scum Manifesto is surprisingly popular amongst feminists.
I dedicate this play to me. A continuous source of strength and guidance, and without whose unflinching loyalty and devotion and faith, this play would never have been written. I dedicate this play to myself for proofreading, editorial comment, helpful hints, criticism and suggestions, and an exquisite job of typing. And finally, I dedicate this play to I, for independent research into men, married women, and other degenerates. Presentation of the rationale and program of action of SCUM, Society for Cutting Up Men.
So it's that kind of callousness that leads us to the popular hashtag #KillAllMen, a hashtag so counterproductive to the feminist movement. Feminists are trying to stop it.
And I know I'm 16, my opinion is just a shout into the void, but I will say it because I'm mad. Okay, so what set me off to make this video was mainly the #KillAllMen hashtag that is going on in Twitter, and recently it's been creeping up on Tumblr. And see, the people who are on Twitter who are supporting this are mainly Tumblr feminists, and I have a huge problem with these people. I used to be okay with it, I used to tolerate it, even agree with some of it, but it's gotten out of hand. As you can see, we're trying to kill all men. And I'll put a few pictures up while I talk here, because to give a few examples, it's a real thing, and it's worrying me because Tumblr is a huge community, and if so many people have this mindset, that's a bit worrisome. It's terrible, it's terrifying. I think it mainly started because of the Elliot Rodger thing, although it's been going on before that. But I think that triggered it even more because I've been seeing it a lot more recently ever since that happened. Feminists, like Tumblr feminists, real feminists are okay. I mean, I've had teachers who were feminists, and thank you for fighting for us. I love you. But Tumblr feminists seem to have this, like, so little knowledge on the actual topic, and they take every incident that happens and they try to twist it into, you know, an issue for feminism. And as you can see, I'm a woman, and see, I would like fight for my rights, but it's gotten to the point where when we're oppressing men to do it, and I don't believe that's right, because what's the point of that? Fighting for equality by oppressing men? That's not going to work.
But this is, of course, just a bunch of Tumblr feminists. I mean, it's not like someone with real power would treat men's lives with contempt, is it? Well, actually, we need only look as far as Hillary Clinton. Hillary, call me a feminist Clinton, who may well be the Democratic nominee for the next American presidential election. This is a speech that she gave in El Salvador in 1998. A speech in which she unironically says that women have always been the primary victims of war because they lose their husbands, their fathers, and their sons in combat. This is so insanely callous. This is unbelievably dismissive of the lives of the men involved, as if they are merely machines. This is like saying that men are the primary victims of childbirth when there are complications and the mother and the baby die. She says, again unironically, that being left with the responsibility of raising the children is a worse thing to happen than being blown to pieces. So when a blog post called "I aborted my baby because it was a boy" went viral, it's unsurprising that people thought that this was written by an actual feminist. After all, why wouldn't they think that? From what people have seen from feminists, why would they think that this wasn't real? Feminists went crazy, desperately trying to justify just how very, very obviously fake this was, even though to the average person, this is exactly what they would come to expect from feminism. There was nothing about this story that was incongruous from people's experiences of modern day feminism, and so feminists were falling over themselves to show just how this wasn't true. At no point did I see any of them turning around and asking themselves, why does everyone think this is true? So when Emma Watson is standing before the UN, pondering,
and the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating.
My response is, well, it's because feminists seem to hate men. And when they're called on it, they will go as far as to redefine words for their own convenience. This picture comes from a gender studies textbook, redefining the definition of sexism to include power. And they have used this as rationale to say, well, if we can't be sexist towards men, then we can literally say anything we want towards men. We can be as quote-unquote ironically misandrist as we like, because apparently women do not hold institutional power, as if that matters in interpersonal interactions, and they do it to ameliorate the guilt of being vile human beings.